Hi guys. Hi. So I am back with another twin flame video with questions from ChatGPT again because I don't know, I feel like it's gonna just make me smarter to answer the difficult questions. Like, I'm obviously not stupid, I'm not saying that, but like it's hard because like when you say anything that sounds like that, the audience decides that they're smarter than you, which isn't what you mean. Not how it works. It's not how it works. It doesn't, there's like something on the screen, dust. But yeah, like I think if the average person seems to believe a lot of things that shouldn't be there and just aren't real. For example, working at McDonald's, my third day was today. And one example is that the average intelligence level of like a person walking in is that they assume even though they never worked at McDonald's, they assume they should be the one who's training employees because they assume their intelligence level is like through the roof compared to the employees there. So just example of like just people assuming that about themselves when it isn't based on anything. It's just kind of like society programs people to believe they're smarter than some people and less smart than other people, that sort of thing. So yeah, but whatever, you'll think what you want to think. The right people will find the video and understand what I'm talking about, or not, but you know. Anyway, so I just have a list of questions that I'm gonna go through and we'll see. And I asked for like rare questions because I feel like I already did some questions that were like not that rare, or like I don't know, whatever. These were the rarest Pokemon of the questions. They're actually obviously not Pokemon, but yeah. So if the first question is, if twin flames mirror each other, what happens when one intentionally stops reflecting? Does the bond distort or go silent? So in order to get these questions, what I really should have had to do was ask for like the dumbest possible questions that didn't make any sense. But ChatGPT decided these were the rarest questions possible, which just means they don't make sense. So, okay. If one twin flame whatever. Okay, so if twin flames mirror each other, what happens when one intentionally stops reflecting? Does the bond distort or go silent? So the thing is, okay, twin flames like mirror each other in some capacity. Well, guess what though? If you were gonna intentionally stop doing that, you'd have to know which part of yourself is like mirroring the other person, and then you'd have to dedicate a big part of your life to just like manipulating them, which would just cause you to feel manipulated if you even like, if they even knew, or you would just be like mixing yourself up for no reason. Like if the natural occurrence is that you kind of mirror, or like you essentially kind of go through not like you're faced with like similar energies and you have to learn certain types of things like at the same time or like around the same time or whatever. You have to be like faced with similar energy is kind of the philosophy of it. So I don't know, but like if you were gonna intentionally stop reflecting that, you would be dedicating such a big part of your life to like just manipulating the way that you come across. I don't know if anyone's done that before, like intentionally stopped mirroring. The thing is, first of all, you'd have to believe in twin flames to intentionally stop mirroring it. So you'd have to be like, you'd have to consciously believe, oh, that's the person that I'm actually meant to be with, and I'm mirroring everything they do. So I'm gonna force myself to not do that. And most people don't say, oh, that's the person that I believe I'm meant to be with, so I'm gonna intentionally mess everything up just for fun. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just decide they don't believe in it and they're just gonna like be with somebody else. It's actually what most of the time would happen, with like the twin flame concept, you know? Like 99% of the time, it's just gonna be one person who believes in it and one person who does not believe in it. It's not gonna be that special. It's just gonna be like, oh, they just didn't think it was true ever, and like that never changed. That's just what normally would happen. So like in past lives, they could actually like be together or whatever, but like it's 2026 and you kind of have to play by 2026 rules. So a lot of the time, it might be a guy a lot of the time who's like, I just don't believe in it, right? So he's not gonna like intentionally stop mirroring. He's just gonna be like, maybe I liked you for like a minute, but like now I'm downloading Tinder, so like who cares, you know? Like it's not giving like, it's not giving he's sitting there like, oh, I think I'm meant to be with that person, so I'm gonna pretend to have an experience that's nothing like my own actual experience right now so that I can confuse that person, like the person that I think that I'm meant to be with, like just to confuse them, just to make things get like messed up. Some people do some weird self-sabotage. I just don't really know like why it would matter if you do, right? Because it's like, okay, then that's just what you chose to do. Like, does the bond distort or go silent? So in order for it to suddenly become distorted, it would have to be clear to you at some point in time. Again, like if you had a very like clear situation that you both believed in, you probably wouldn't even be on Earth, because in past lives it worked out because it was just like what you were willing to do for the era and stuff. But like nowadays, you would kind of have to be able to have cell phones and your twin flame, and sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes it's one or the other, or you're forced to become some kind of like twin flame teacher somehow. It's kind of one or the other, one of those scenarios and not the other ones. So it's kind of just like that. There's really not a lot of other pathways you can go in 2026. Either you're both gonna be sitting next to each other just making videos about being twin flames and that's your thing. That's your niche, right? Maybe that's you. Or you're literally gonna be, one of them's just gonna be like downloading Tinder and you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't mean we both believe the same thing then. So that's kind of just how it goes. It's kind of a dumb question, to be honest, but like I feel like I could try to force it to make sense. Essentially, if you were strong enough and psychopathic enough to try to intentionally like distort it, you would most likely just it doesn't even matter, honestly. You would just already not have to be on Earth anymore. Like, you just would not have showed up for this incarnation. You were just not gonna have to do this lifetime. You were just gonna be like too important. Like, you just weren't gonna have to be on Earth at all from the start of this life. You just would not have been on this planet if you were going to be so important that you could intentionally know which part of you was going to be mirroring and then prevent it. It would be hard enough, okay, for like the average person who's already magical, it would be so hard to find out which part of them is supposed to be mirroring the other person. So you'd have to be on an impossible level where like you could just, like, it wouldn't even be cool at that point. You'd have nobody to show off to because nobody would believe you. And the person who you're trying to like mix up by doing that probably wouldn't be able to like recognize which part you're trying to like conceal. So yeah. And does the bond go silent? Well, that would imply that it's like really loud, but most people cannot even get like a repeating number on a clock as like a sign. Like, most people could not even get that. So again, if you had all of these things just to intentionally avoid it, you would just be in a different dimension at that point. So I hope that helps. It's okay, guys. We've got another dumbass question. We've got another question that doesn't even mean anything or make any sense. But we're still gonna try, okay? I'm still gonna try to answer this. You ready? Can a twin flame connection exist without recognition for an entire lifetime and still count? So, still count? Essentially, could you walk past them, not recognize them, and then it still counts? Still count as what? Like, as your twin flame? I think you're really, 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 really stupid if you think that you sitting there saying, wow, I really like that person, I wish they were my twin flame, if you think that's gonna make them into your twin flame, then you're like really stupid. Like, if you think that's where it comes from, that you like made that, then you're just really stupid. Like, you think you like caused it, like you think you created it. Okay, so you didn't cause that to be true. It was gonna be true even if you didn't want it. So if you could make it in a true, like, not true because it was already true, but if you could experience it in like a positive context, whatever that may be, that was gonna be better. Like, that was gonna be like part of your mission if you successfully do that, but it was gonna be like difficult and like feel like it's not worth it most of the time, because anything that's actually part of your like life mission just feels not worth it most of the time, if that helps. But like, you didn't like cause it to be true. Like, that's just like the way you were created, is that it's true. That there's just another one, okay? It's just like, you guys need to work on your imagination. If you think your imagination was like so strong that you made it true, then you're really fucking stupid. Okay? Like, really stupid, really weird, really stupid. So, can you walk past them and not recognize them? Yeah. Okay? Can you meet them and not see anything special? Yes. Can you walk past them your entire lifetime and never see something special? Yes. It just means that's how special you saw yourself, dude. It's not that, like, crazy. It's really not. Earth is so small. It just means, okay, you both die, you go back wherever you come from, and you're like, okay, so that was not very successful because we didn't even have a conversation. Then you find out what you can do about it, because just because you have a bond doesn't mean that you're very strong. It just means, like, same way, say you were like put on the planet because you want to be a celebrity, but you don't do anything to make that come true, and then you walk past people who could have opened that door for you, but you didn't like do anything to cause yourself to be a celebrity, and you didn't see yourself that way during your actual lifetime. Just because you walked past like people powerful enough to cause that for you and you never found out, doesn't mean that that's not actually what they were, or that you being a person who wanted to be a celebrity, like, that it wasn't what you were. Does that help? It doesn't change what you walked past just because you couldn't recognize it. So I guess the answer is yes. Your twin flame connection can exist without recognition for an entire lifetime, and it does still count. It's just that you didn't cause the fact that it counts. You were just fucking stupid. To that degree. It was just a very unsuccessful lifetime for you, that's all. It doesn't mean something like serious. You're not gonna be like crying about it because you just didn't recognize them. You just missed the whole journey because, or the whole like plot. You missed half of the plot of your incarnation on the planet, and that is how unsuccessfully you were able to plan your incarnation on the planet. Because, you know, whatever your life purpose was gonna be the other half of your purpose there. So you were just very stupid, that's all. Congratulations. Okay, we have another really fucking stupid question, okay? So, the next question, the part of it that's stupid is that the question understands itself at the start and then it forgets what it's even talking about. because ChatGPT cannot think like a human brain that well. So, okay, question is, now see if you can catch where the question is stupid, okay? And then I'll tell you the answer and like why it's stupid. Okay, so the question is, if you heal something first, does your twin feel relief or resistance to losing that shared wound? Okay. So essentially it's saying, like, you know how the philosophy of twin flames is, no, that's just actually what people believe, is the philosophy of twin flames is that if you heal one wound that you both have, it heals it for them. Okay? That's like the baseline of what humans like believe about twin flames, if they believe in it. Okay? If they don't believe in it, they believe that you're like the dumbest person ever, because either atheism is the only real thing, or like whatever their major religion is like the only real thing. They just assume like, no, the dinosaurs existed and whatever this is can't possibly be true. Which, okay, like, what does it have to do with the dinosaurs? Like, but you know what I mean? Like, that's like how they take it. So, yeah. So the question is, again, if you heal something first, does your twin feel relief or resistance to losing that shared wound? So the question literally calls it a shared wound and then uses like the philosophy of if you heal something, it heals it for them. But the question is so stupid that it asks if they're going to like want to hold on to the wound that they're like experiencing. So, as the question states, if you heal the wound, it heals it for them. And that's not the part the question's asking about. The question is just asking, are they going to have resistance to losing the wound? So, if you guys lose the wound at the same time, what are they gonna do? Like, the question is literally like, are they gonna start crying because... Okay, say you're both living your own separate lives, but you both are like going through a heartbreak. Then you actually just heal from the heartbreak really fast. The question is not saying, does it heal them? Because the question's saying, yes, it does. So the question itself is saying, are they going to force themselves to not get over the heartbreak and miss the heartbreak and like hate themselves for getting over the heartbreak because you got over yours really fast? Well, then that would cause you to have the same reaction to it, kind of. Like, in the sense of, like, if they're still holding onto the wound, that means you're still holding onto the wound. Like, it's literally the dumbest question. Because you said, okay, like, you know, that makes my arm look so hairy. I swear it's not weird. It's, like, the lighting makes it, like, extreme. It was kind of just normal. Also, I just don't have, like, blonde hair. If I did, I would have wanted to, like, dye way less often, because I just wouldn't have to like shave every single day to not have like a hair on my arm or something, you know what I mean? Like it's okay, I have other features, and if I really wanted to shave it off, like I could. I'm not like unable to. I guess it's a choice, I don't know, but like, you know what I mean? Like I don't get to choose everything, but if I wanted to sit there and spend all of my time doing that, then I could. I guess I had other priorities at some point and didn't really think about it. If that's the most important thing ever. Maybe it is. So, whatever. You cannot live a day as a human and not find something embarrassing about yourself, to be honest. So, that's fine. It's so okay. I don't know, it's okay. But, let's see. So, it's literally saying, like, it's the same over here because I changed this and then I changed that. Like, so how is there a question? It's just the dumbest question ever. I hope I answered it, but like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's like saying this, say like your emotional wound it's not physical, but like, say we wanted to make a physical representation of it, if you still don't know what it means. So it would be like, you both have a broken arm at the same time, but then you do a spell on yours and like, you're in a reality where it just fixes it. But then it actually fixes theirs too. Okay, then that's what everybody believes about twin flames. But they get so angry that the wound, the arm that was broken, like, representing the emotional wound, you know? So they get so mad that it healed that they break the other arm on themselves. So the philosophical question is like, does the twin flame, like, I guess have the new broken arm too? But the answer would be yes, they do have the new broken arm too, which is why maybe like don't do that. Next question. The next question kind of expects me to know everything, which is like, if I knew everything, I would just be on a different planet, to be honest with you. Like, Earth is a very, like, most people cannot identify their twin flame. Most people don't even know if they have past lives. Most people can't remember their past lives. Even if you can, like, being able to answer every type of question, most people don't really get all of it. If you get some of that, then like you have more than most people. So like, it's kind of, oh, and then like even like being a witch and stuff, most people don't get all of those things on the list. So as you can tell, if I have some of those, then this next question is going to be like, well, if I also had this, then there'd be no point in me being on Earth just to go through the whole thing. Like, if your third eye is not a little cloudy at some point, you probably don't have to be on Earth. If it's not, you probably don't have to be on Earth. But, okay. The question is, are twin flames synchronized in timing, or do they constantly miss each other on purpose? I mean, on purpose is kind of weird, right? Like, okay, I get it. Like, are you gonna consciously be like, I don't want to go there because that's where they are? Well, maybe that's probably what I would do. I'd be like physically like, why? Just because I know where somebody like works does not mean I would show up. Especially if I don't know the situation. Like, why would I don't think I would feel so comfortable doing that. Like, I don't think I would, because first of all, you can be a little bit like estranged from your twin flame, right? Like, if you're not in a relationship with them and you show up, okay, like, while they might be like, oh, that's cool, like, you know where I was, like, I know that person, I recognize that person, yeah, but you're gonna show up and you're gonna walk in and they're just gonna be like in a relationship with somebody else, and you're gonna be like finding out, you're gonna be like going through like random trauma for no reason, even though you know it's probably true. Like, if you're gonna be like stressed about it, why would you show up just to then be stressed about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine. Like, you're not in a relationship with that person. Like, secrets exist, especially if you haven't talked to them in a while, whatever. Like, secrets exist, and like that doesn't mean they're like wrong. Like, it just means like you don't have to know about everything, but if you go looking for information, you're gonna find out, but you're gonna find out in some weird traumatizing way. So, is it possible to know where they are and not show up? Yes, because you don't want to put yourself through like random trauma for no reason. And because you might find it kind of disrespectful if they just show up to see you and you're like, well, this is like out of nowhere, like, what makes you think you can judge me for like being in an environment that I didn't know you were going to be there in, when we don't have like a commitment? Like, that doesn't make sense, you know? Like, you can't show up and then judge them for what you find if you don't have like some agreement, like, oh, this is not gonna happen, that's not gonna happen, like, and you wouldn't want them to do that to you, because you'd be like, well, but that you're misinterpreting this, and like, I didn't say anything was not gonna be that way. Like, it goes both ways. As far as like spiritually, the goal is that like if you set up your lifetime the right way, you're both gonna like meet each other at some point in time, because you're just supposed to be able to recognize each other and like not be stupid. but like sometimes you recognize each other but you're still stupid, or like sometimes you don't recognize each other but like you're not stupid and like you figure it out. I don't know. Whatever, that's just kind of how it is. Like, are they synchronized in timing? Essentially, you still have like deities that are like around you if you work with them or anything. Like, they kind of choose like, how do we want it to go? Is there like a smarter way? Like, is the traumatizing way the only way? Like, are there better options? Like, is it bad timing? If they live in the same environment, it's probably not the worst timing because they have to meet at some point in time, but it's probably still going to be like annoying somehow. You're going to find something to be bothered by. That's just how it is. Okay, next question is, what part of you is actually yours if your twin reflects so much of it back? Here's the deal, my friend. What part do they reflect back? I mean, you have like a journey together and stuff. So much of your life is just yours. But I think you also don't know. Like, I don't know. Because if I had all the answers, then I wouldn't have that much to work through, like, on Earth and, like, figure out on Earth, to be honest with you. Like, what part is... I feel like I would have to pretend or have some made-up answer for that. Because, like, what part of you is yours? Like, all of you? All of you? Because you go through your life, I don't know. There's different ways to think about it. Like, it depends on how creative you are, how you want to look at it. Because you could look at it like maybe they were always going to find out about everything you experienced, even if it's like not till the end of both of your lives and then they just get told about it or something, or like something like that, right? So you but that doesn't mean you were not by yourself at the time that you had whatever experiences. Like, you just were. You didn't even meet them yet, or it was after or whatever. Like, the one who like made the choices while going through your experiences is just you. So like every choice you ever made was just your choice. They were just also making choices that you might find out were similar or something you would have done if you lived as them. But they still made all their choices when you were not there. So like, they're supposed to like have ways that they go together that you find out about. It doesn't mean you automatically know, because it's kind of like, you know how the ending is like never spoiled in like the story. Well, which part of you is actually yours and which part is the same as them is the part that you're constantly like looking at in different ways. Like, you're supposed to be able to come up with as many interpretations as possible, because that's kind of the creativity of it. So like, even if you are a twin flame and you're going through that experience, you could like look up like on Google like some stuff, but like it's not going to be accurate information. It's not going to make sense. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be very like boring information. You kind of have to have like strong emotions to even find like web pages about it, because and to care about it enough to read about it, because you're going to be like, oh hey, it just sounds stupid. Like, it just doesn't sound real. Like, it doesn't make sense, you know? So what part of you is actually yours? It just depends on what kind of person you are. If you're like keeping secrets, then all the secrets are yours. Like, congratulations. Like, whatever you choose to do, just because you are supposed to be able to find out about like some level of telepathy with them, everybody's going to be on different levels. Like, you two are going to be on like the same level of telepathy essentially, or you're supposed to be. Does that mean it's true? I don't know why it would be messed up, but like, maybe it's messed up. Like, maybe it's not true. Like, maybe you're supposed to find out someday that it's not true, because that's like, you would not even have to incarnate on Earth if there were not going to be flaws to it. So you just have your very flawed life because you had to go back to Earth. You still had issues. Good job. Like, you were not so important that you didn't still have issues. That's just what happened. So could you find out that it's the completely wrong person and you're so messed up by that after you die? You find out it's the wrong person? I mean, that would be like really depressing. Like that would be a really sad way to like leave your life. So I think a deity normally wouldn't let you do that unless it was like what you chose to do. But like actually, like I don't know what would cause that to happen, but I'm sure it happens all the time because you know that there's people going through their lives where they just seem to end up with like the wrong person. So that also happens, but like why? I don't know. Again, none of us would have to be on Earth if we literally knew why or what the difference is. So okay, next question. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about the question. I was like, that's kind of a fun question. I was like, wait, that's actually kind of not a fun question. So it's weird. Wait, 1 second. I gotta move you. That was so stupid. I just covering the whole like, okay, the whole screen. So the question is, can twin flames become energetically outgrown, like old identities you no longer resonate with? So, loaded question, right? Loaded question. So it is a fun question, but it's like a not fun question at the same time. So both are gonna just be a yes, but not in the same way. So as you probably guessed, because you do the previous lifetime with your twin flame, you do this lifetime with your twin flame, you do the next lifetime with your twin flame, you do the next one with them, you do the next one with them, however far you're going, or you decide, or a deity tells you, hey, like for this mission only one of you is allowed to go, you have to decide who's gonna go wherever you go. Those are probably stupid planets anyway, because why are they only letting one go? But like, because you probably want to do it because you're like, okay, like I have this bond with this person, like the same way as like a lot of your soulmates from your last lifetime. You can be like, hey, like I met you in the last lifetime and I thought you were cool, like do you want to be friends again, or do you want to like be my enemy this time? Like I already met you, so I'd feel more comfortable with it being you who does this to me or who has that experience. That happens too. Or they were your enemy the last time, you're like, I still hate you, I want it to, you know, be the reverse of that. I want to do this to you in that next lifetime. That happens. Or again, it could be like your friend. You're like, okay, like you did that to me that time, but now we're friends. Like I want to go be your friend in this lifetime, whatever. That happens. But the twin flame is like the one who's like very close to you. But they can all like feel close to you in the sense of like, I recognize you, I know you, we're friends, like we're best friends even, but like, you know what I mean? It doesn't like replace the twin flame, but you can still be friends with them. You could decide you're gonna marry them next time and you're not gonna be with your twin flame because only one of you is gonna go, or you're gonna be in completely different places. You never have to meet each other, but like, you know, so it's not gonna be like, oh no, like what if there's something else? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then you're like, okay, like we decided we're just gonna get married in this lifetime, like that's cool. Because it's a one lifetime thing and you get to have that experience and enjoy it and see what you learn from it, whatever. That happens, it's not a bad thing. But also that same person, because they're not your twin flame, they can be like your worst enemy in the lifetime after you're married to them. And then maybe you're with your twin flame, but now the person who you were married to the last time is your worst enemy, right? You guys try to like kill each other, whatever, like because wherever you go, like that's why having a lot of soulmates and friends and stuff is cool, because that can be your best friend again in the next lifetime. That can be somebody who teaches you something, or who you teach something, or whatever. Those can be like your coworkers in the next lifetime. Those can be people you get married to in the next lifetime. If you want to be somebody who has like 10 marriages or something, that's great. Like most of them are probably going to be like people you've met in a previous lifetime, you know. It's not going to be like, you're probably not going to meet your twin flame, divorce them, and then be with 70 other people. A lot of the time you're probably not going to, or you're not going to be like married to them, you know. You're not going to like, that would be like maybe not what people do because they don't want to like traumatize themselves, if you will, but like because the trauma would like go over to them too. So it is what it is. Does that mean people don't get like screwed with their lifetime? Sometimes it's not planned well by whichever deity was supposed to be like responsible for them. Maybe it's like, what if they didn't really care about me? Like what if I don't know and then something bad happens? Like that happens all the time, because that's just what happens. Like, it's not always planned well. it's just not always planned well. So, or they planned to have a lot of trauma for some kind of like real reason. They were like, I actually want to use that for something, like I think it has a purpose, I'm going to try to use that for like a positive reason for myself and stuff. So all of that happens, but like for a lot of people it's just like, maybe the deity just didn't care about me that much, I need a different one, or whatever. Or they were like, hey, give me like as much of this one type of situation as possible because I want to see what's gonna happen, whatever. Stressful to talk about the not perfect versions, but everybody's earth situation is not perfect for some reason, and that reason usually is because they were not able to be like strong enough to just not be on earth and have like better somewhere else, or like something more fun or less fun. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're looking for. So yeah, like I just said, it's not really that they would get tired of the twin flame and decide to marry somebody else the next lifetime and never meet their twin flame, but there's some reason like why they would do that, you know. One's just gonna be somewhere else and one's gonna be there. So if that helps, it doesn't mean like you could never have a lifetime where you don't meet them. It just means for whatever reason you've decided that would be fun. Like it's probably not fun, but you probably just wanted to do it, which happens. Or again, like maybe they just couldn't recognize them for whatever reason, or they had issues, like so they just end up with someone else because it was just not a successful lifetime. But it would be like for both of them in a way. But like that doesn't mean they didn't have a good time. Like I don't know, I don't want to like make it like, oh, you couldn't have had fun, like, because that's just not true. Like that would just sound like a lie. Like the truth is, no, like if you're somebody's twin flame, you're probably gonna think they would have more fun with somebody else, and then it's probably gonna be traumatizing for you to think that. It's probably not gonna be that you thought like, oh, I was the only fun person. Like you probably thought the opposite. Like, which again is probably why both of you end up getting traumatized from that happening. But it's fine because I don't know, even the bad experiences just make you strong, but like you're like, wasn't it so pointless to have to become stronger? As far as like during your lifetime, I think is maybe what the question was supposed to be about. Can they become energetically outgrown, like old identities you no longer resonate with? Even that's like yes and no, because essentially energetically you're supposed to be around the same level or whatever. Like spiritually you're supposed to be like around the same level, so that it's not confusing, so that it's not like, why is that one on a way higher level and I don't feel like I have that too. Like you're supposed to feel like you're around the same level. Or that part wasn't planned well. Actually, like it's fine, but like if we don't feel like we're on the same level, then it just wasn't planned well at all. So like that's how it is. It actually would just mean that like there's supposed to be some problems to it, or we would just be on a different planet, is literally the most annoying part, but like that's how it is. That's how it is. Okay, what about it? But also somebody can make you mad and then you just don't even feel like attracted to them, even if they are your twin flame, because you know you're just gonna get traumatized again in the same way, and you're like, well, I already went through it, so I'm just supposed to go somewhere else for now because you can't even figure yourself out, is how that feels. But like it doesn't mean that like eventually you aren't attracted to them anymore, like again, like you would be again. But if somebody's in like a cycle where again your choices are yours, it's not gonna be like somebody else's fault. Like energy can like make you want to make certain choices all the time, but you're never going to not be the one who like signed off on your own choices. Even if energy made you do that, you had so much information at your big age that you factored in to like whatever choice you decided to make. Like you decided the kind of person you were, signed off on the choices that you decided to do. Still, even if it was a really bad choice, like you signed off on that as the person who made the choice. Even if you felt like you had no other options, like you still signed off on like the final decision, which is crazy. So but you know what I mean. So exactly. But they can traumatize you in a way that they're not supposed to because they have free will. They have as much free will as you have, though. So if you feel like your free will is like restricted, they're gonna feel like theirs is restricted, but you might look at each other and again not recognize that because you did not plan your life that well. Which is sad, but like again, it might not even be you. Like a deity could be the one who like accidentally did that. Because they're way more perfect than us, but like for some reason they make mistakes all the time, which is why so many people are not happy with like their earth life. And you could even think of a better version of like, well, if I didn't have to have that, then I had that instead, and like I would still learn the same thing. Because even deities could be like really careless with you. Like they might be like, I don't care about that one. Which is just sad. But like, yeah. Okay. Next question. I think it's kind of fun, but I don't know why I think it's fun. Because it's not like there's like really an exciting part to it, but okay. So the next question is, if one twin forgets the connection completely, does the other slowly forget too? I think first of all, I don't know everything because I haven't been in every single scenario as a person who also still has to be on Earth right now. That means there's going to be some things that I didn't have to do, or I would literally be in a different kind of position if I literally knew everything. Second, we think that memories are important when we walk around in our lives because we as humans sometimes try to make memories a part of our identity. Oh, I remember when this happened, and then you did that, and then I did that, and then you did that, and then I did that, and all of that is supposed to mean that I'm this kind of person. Like, sometimes people hold on to memories because they almost feel like somebody else is witnessing it if they remember it, when it's actually just you who was there for it. So that sounds weird. The reality is, like, I think the mind is separate with twin flames when we're on the level where we're on Earth, and telepathy is not that good. And in order for the telepathy to work, you have to have some kind of like overlap more than what usually makes sense in humans. Like, a good way to explain it is because Earth is such an unimportant planet, you guys can have a very drastic difference in your experiences, your memories, and your emotions and your choices. So because Earth is like a lower level planet, like it's easier to graduate, even though it's very hard for us because we're like, oh my gosh, like, what do you mean I have to know that telepathy is real and try to master some kind of supernatural power and then find some kind of success at it to feel like I'm graduating or whatever, or like I have to have like physical proof that my manifestation happened like instantly, like, or I have to be the most spiritual person who I've ever met to even feel like I'm graduating, like Earth or whatever it is, you know, like you start to think like that. You're like, well, what does it even mean to graduate a place where there's so many talents and skills that you can learn? Like, what do you mean this is a school you can graduate? Like, what if I don't know every skill and talent that's possible? How would you go about graduating a place with what feels like infinite skills and talents? It's like a weird school right now, you know, but yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought, but the point is, yeah, like your experiences differentiate a lot more on Earth because it's kind of an unimportant planet. It's a lot about like learning and like finishing your mission so you can just leave and go somewhere like better or like the next one, right? Like it's supposed to be like an upgrade afterwards when you eventually leave. So you're supposed to just go somewhere like better because you're like, oh, finally I mastered Earth. Like I get to go somewhere that feels cool. So there's other ones. So you're just gonna be like, okay, like me and you graduated, we get to go somewhere. Like, let's pick a new one out, you know, like a new school that's gonna take multiple lifetimes to like master everything we have to. And there's gonna be bad parts and good parts. So, yeah, pretty much how it is. So again, you have to be able to understand like the context of how unimportant the question is, when even when the question feels important to from one person to another, there's an infinite number of planets that you might get to choose to go to. So even though your connection with your twin flame survives regardless of which planet it is that you end up going to, that doesn't change the fact that like on Earth, again, you're on such a low level planet that so many of your experiences are actually just going to be different from them. Even if you try to find the details that make it like a connected story, it's like you're not supposed to really be able to like spoil the ending of it anyway. So the end is probably terrible, like, or it's fine and you didn't expect it to be good, so whatever. Yeah, so if one twin forgets the connection completely, does the other slowly forget too? Well, you have to think about it, like, I don't know how your personal memories are. You can be so busy. Say you had to like, you were like at work, you were busy, you were focused so much. Like sometimes in your mind, you're like, okay, like I'm focused on this exact moment so much that I'm not thinking of anything. That does not mean that I'm forcing somebody else to slowly, permanently forget me just because I'm so focused that I'm not thinking about them. Does that help? You being focused on something else does not force me to like slowly, permanently forget you. Like I don't have like dementia, you don't have dementia, I'm assuming. And I'm sure for a lot of people, if they're not in like extremely old age or health conditions, they just don't have like dementia. And a lot of people's dementia is not onset by somebody else not paying attention to them or not thinking about them 24/7. Like that's usually not the cause of dementia. If it is, we have not seen that a lot. That's just my interpretation, okay? If somebody forgets about you completely, you might find it like mildly insulting. Okay, maybe you would be like, okay, I'm a little bit heartbroken about that, whatever. But you're not gonna like permanently forget them just because they forgot you. Okay, then so what? Well, then maybe like a deity decided like you both need to completely forget each other so that you don't recognize each other again in this lifetime, because for whatever reason like you're only going to be like getting hurt by remembering each other. So again, there's still like magical powers that deities have, so they can still like choose on your behalf, but it's not going to be like, oh, this one over here keeps forgetting the other one, I think we should make sure neither of them can ever remember each other again. Like I don't know what kind of weird experiments would be going on if that happened, but like maybe. Okay, next question. Next question. Is obsession ever mistaken for spiritual recognition in twin flame dynamics? So, like all the time people do that. All the time people do that. All the time people do that. No, people do that all the time. Which is one of the most common like things going on the planet with like spirituality, which is fucking stupid for that to be one of the most common things going on with the concept of spirituality on the planet, is that people cannot figure out why they care about having a twin flame, if they're with the right person, if they have more than one twin flame, if they have 90 twin flames, you know, or like if their twin flame is a person who they're not supposed to be in a romantic relationship with for whatever type of reason, right? Does that help? Or, you know, if the person they're obsessed with who is ignoring them is their twin flame with no evidence or reason to believe it, they saw 1111 on the computer screen while they were thinking about that person, and they've never learned about any type of magic existing, but this is like waking them up or something, right? But then that person's ignoring them because that person's like happily married or something. You know what I mean? Like that's like what people commonly do, and then they try to call it a twin flame. and not everybody's on a level where they can remember all their past lives or know that they have more than one incarnation, or which they would have to be able to do all of that. And also try to not be in some kind of like illegal relationship or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many problems on the planet. People try to normalize things that are just not legal or like extremely not healthy for a lot of reasons. Or like a karmic person who is just gonna like be abusive to a degree where you cannot actually be with that person. They would have to get like a restraining order. Like, it's if it's giving they might actually be going to jail, that's not your twin flame. I mean, if it's because of you. Does that make sense? If you guys do not seem like maybe you're around the same level in some way, then it's not your twin flame. Like, you'd have to maybe like factor in like certain things, but like you're still supposed to be able to see it. But of course, if you're the runner, you're not supposed to be able to see it, or if you can see it, it's supposed to like scare you or something fucking stupid. That's what people believe. People believe, like, people spend their lifetimes waiting for somebody who's happily married all the time because it's not even the right person. That's like the normal settings for like humans. Like, it's so sad, so weird, so disturbing. Again, if you are not able to like verify that it's true somehow, then it just might not be true. That fear in the back of your mind that it's not true, it's probably not true, or whatever, you know? If somebody walks up to you and says it's true, they're probably just trying to like, or like that you're the twin flame, they're probably trying to like flirt with you. Like, it's probably not like true, but like maybe you have one but it's somebody else. Like, that happens all the time. You have to be able to separate yourself from like the common storyline of what's going on. You have to be able to differentiate. You cannot be like, well, this is what happens for everybody, that means that's me. Like, not everybody's had as many past lives as you, or as few past lives as you, or whatever. So it goes both ways. It's sad, but it goes both ways. Because, yeah. The reality is, you're probably gonna think it's the wrong person at some point. And then even when you find out who the right person is, they're probably not gonna believe in it. So it's actually kind of pointless. Unless you both agree and believe in it. The odds of that is like impossible. So good luck. That's not, it's probably not gonna happen, is the real answer. You'd have to be spiritually both on like such a high level to be able to believe in it and have it be true. Next question. Do twin flames amplify each other's shadow traits more than their light, and why? So you should already know what like shadow traits means, but if you don't, it just means like the traits that like you're ashamed of, or like the bad part, like the terrible part of who you are. Like, you don't have to actually be like ashamed of it, but like, oh, this is what makes them a bad person, is just the shadow traits, and then the light is just like the good part of them. So do twin flames amplify each other's shadow traits more than their light? But like, for it to be amplified, it's like you're putting it in like a loudspeaker, or like making it so like giant that there's like bad traits that they have. I don't think they really bring out the bad traits in each other. I think that sometimes people want to like self-sabotage their twin flame relationship. They're just like, for whatever reason, and then they kind of bring the bad sides out of themselves, but I don't think it's the other person that has to be doing it. I think the way that like somebody can do something that makes you mad and then you're like telling them, but it's not giving like, you have to know the difference between a karmic, where it's like they're probably you know, in like a cycle of abuse actually would be like karmic. So the twin flame is gonna have the same amount of shadow traits as you, regardless of how many it is. It's just gonna present differently. And then when you evolve and you have less of that and more light, then they're gonna have less of the shadow and more light. So like you have to just get it, like, which is kind of one of the signs is like over time, like you were both super toxic and then you both stopped at the same time or at the same point in your life. So yeah, but like, do they amplify the shadow more than the light? I don't think that really makes sense, because they're probably not amplifying anything that you're not amplifying in yourself. They're just probably going to bring out in you what you bring out in yourself all the time. Because like you're already in that pattern and then it's just going to come out around them because that's just the kind of person you decided to be. So whoever you decided you are is just who you're going to be with them. So yeah. But like the worst part more than the light, it just depends what you have more of. It doesn't like cause it to be there. Like, are you in a good place? Then they are too. But like, are you like in a really bad place? Then they are too. But it doesn't mean they forced you to be in a bad place. Like, when you wouldn't have felt that way at all yourself. Next question. Okay. Some of these are weird questions, okay? So the next one is, if you remove all the pain from the connection, does it still feel like a twin flame? The answer is yes, because if you don't know, the part of the twin flame relationship that makes it feel like your twin flame is not the trauma or them upsetting you. That's the part you are both here to work through, and that's the part that's like part of the mission, if you will. It's like, oh, you still have all these issues because your chakras are just messed up and like you just didn't feel like your whole life was like amazing, right? So that's how it feels, as far as like the bad side, and that's why you're upsetting each other, because you both have free will, and then you both don't know why the other person has free will, but obviously they do because they deserve the right to as much as you. But it's like the misconceptions, you know? So if you remove all the pain from the connection, does it feel like a twin flame? Like, yes, because if you think about having like a it's hard to explain, I guess. I don't know, how would you explain it? It's so weird to try to explain, actually. Well, the level of passion and like how you feel about that person who is your twin flame is the reason why you can recognize them so deeply. And so because you can recognize them so deeply that it feels like it goes deeper than the other relationships is what causes it to be able to be recognized as your twin flame. And the reason that's part of why people on Earth have like discontent with like their twin flame and why it's so hard is because they're like, well, why can't I just have the good parts and not feel like that person's gonna like cheat on me or something, right? Because that's one of the not bad things that happen in twin flame dynamics, is that people either have to forgive somebody who cheated on them or didn't want to be in a relationship with them for a long time, or somebody who told them you're meant to be with me, even though they're like, well, I don't feel that, like, why would you still say that even though I said no? Like, as far as like wanting to, like, why do you still want to date me? Like, I already said I don't want to, like, I'm dating somebody else. Like that, those are the things that people are like, well, why would I ever have to forgive that type of person? Like, people in all of those types of scenarios, one way or another, right, they're all like, well, why would I ever want to or have to forgive that type of person, because they're going to feel like either that person wanted to pursue it too much in like a way that made them uncomfortable, or they're going to feel like they were cheated on, or they were going to feel like, well, why do you keep doing something I don't like, that kind of thing. But they still have that like passion when they do recognize that person as their twin flame, even though they might just want to like go somewhere else and like not be in that deep of a relationship. They might want to be in something that does not feel very like serious to them. So those are the reasons why people on Earth are either ending up with the wrong person, or they just don't want the right one for whatever reason, or they're fed up with the right person, right? They tell themselves this has to be the wrong person. After years and years and years of not making any progress, they get fed up. They're like, well, why do I still have to be with that person or nobody, right? Not that they couldn't find someone else, but they would recognize, I don't feel that level of passion with somebody else. And once you can tell the difference, you're like, well, why would I try that? Been there, done that. Like, it's just not the same. So that's part of why Earth is just not perfect, and why people get mad all the time, because they're like, well, the right person would never cheat on me or try to date other people in front of me, or persist and say, no, like, we are meant to be together, even though I said I don't feel the same way. Like, people, essentially, all of those, they get so mad. They're like, they either just settle down with the wrong person because they want to be with somebody, or they're just with nobody, and they're like, wow, it's so weird that didn't work out because that was totally the right person, but like, what was I supposed to have done differently? Like, I did everything right, you know? For wherever they come from, they're like, I did everything right, but that's never true, and nobody's taught differently. So it's just never gonna be such a perfect planet that you are told all the information you need ahead of time. You're kind of put here and you don't know what you don't know. So yeah, the bad parts are never what makes it feel like a twin flame, because the bad parts are not the good parts. It actually does have good parts, but if there were no bad parts, it would be a soulmate, and if there were no good parts, it would just be a karmic. So sort of an unhappy question next. Okay. Can twin flames exist as rivals, enemies, or opposites who never reconcile? Well, due to poor planning from you or a deity for your lifetime, which happens all the time, and free will and anger, not being able to control your emotions, not being able to understand why they were allowed to do something bad to you that hurt both of you, and why can't you also do something bad to them that's going to hurt both of you, right? Well, they got to do something bad that hurt both of us, why can't I do something bad that hurts both of us? Again, due to free will, anger, not controlling your emotions, poor planning, maybe somebody getting cheated on, and then they want to do the same thing or whatever, fucking stupid stuff, right? Which obviously, yeah, like, people want to get revenge regardless of who it is. That happens. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt both of them both times, so you just got it twice. You just went through the trauma twice, like, congratulations. But again, because on the planet, people are not given all the information they feel like they need, because you're told, like, well, obviously stand up for yourself, like, if they're not perfect, leave them, but also, like, you know, you're supposed to be allowed to have free will, you're supposed to be allowed to do whatever you want, like, you're not supposed to feel restricted, you're not supposed to feel like you didn't live your life when you were young, you know, you're not supposed to feel like, oh, but like, if they mess up, like, one strike and it's like done, you know? So like, and like, if they did something to you, like, feel free to get revenge. It's kind of like how the planet is a lot, and then people kind of fall into all of that because the traps on the planet that get in the way of helping people look just like the part that's like saving them. So they don't know what they're being saved by when they're told, just don't ever do this, don't ever do that. So they follow the advice, but the advice is a trap, and then they never get to like resolve the issue. So You can just be around the wrong energy, take really bad advice, plan your life really badly, have emotions you can never control, and then you have so much free will on this planet. People don't talk about it. It doesn't mean you were meant to do everything you ever did. Like, you can, to be your rival, they kind of compete with you, right? Well, you can have so much free will that you start to like try to be competitive with anybody. You have so much free will that in this lifetime you can make anybody your enemy, even if they're not meant to be your enemy, or even if they're not your permanent enemy after this lifetime. But like, it's gonna be really embarrassing if you have to go to some meeting with a deity after your lifetime and explain why you decided to make somebody who was always nice to you your enemy. It's gonna just be embarrassing. Like, you're gonna have to explain it. Like, is it gonna be worth it to have to explain that? Or would you rather just have the fun experience while you had the opportunity to have the fun experience and not have to explain why you denied yourself and someone else of having a fun experience? Like, which one sounds better? Having to explain yourself or just doing it the right way? Yeah. As far as can they be opposites? Like, define opposite though, because you could really be like, okay, for the rest, like, you wouldn't talk to them and be like, for the rest of your life you're only allowed to wear blue and I'm only allowed to wear red, and now we have to like see if it works, see if we always remember to do that, and like, can we be opposites? Like, you have so much free will, you could force anything. To be their opposite, I think, I don't know, there might be some parts that are like naturally that way, depending on how it's kind of like split, right? Like, what traits does that person have? What traits do you have? Like, what kind of mission do you want to take on? Whatever. It's all stupid. But like, literally it's all stupid. But like, like, actually, it all feels stupid and pointless, which is why Earth, again, is like stupid and pointless. That's just how it is. If you wanted to force yourself to be their opposite, you would probably have to look up what they're doing and then just do the opposite of that. But it would probably work, because why? There's no point to doing it, but it would probably work. Like, good job. Like, congratulations, you decided to be the opposite of somebody, not follow your dreams, because whatever they did, you just, like, it just seems like you're misaligned if you're trying to, what if you happen to like accidentally have the same passions, right? Then you're denying yourself the opportunity to have those passions because you can't force them not to from all the way over there. Okay, do not let the next question scare you, because it is fucking stupid. It's as stupid as it sounds, but there is something that kind of makes sense about it. So I'm gonna explain where the question is coming from. Even though I just got it from ChatGPT, I can tell. It's made me think of something, and then I realized, like, oh, like, I kind of know where they maybe got that idea. Which kind of doesn't make sense that they got that idea, but like, I know what it makes me think of and like kind of why it's on the list, if that helps. Doesn't make sense anyone would have thought of it that way, because it was only in my own brain, but like, I know where it came from, the idea. Even though it came from ChatGPT, but whatever. Okay, so the question is the purpose of a twin flame union actually avoidance of union? So the twin flame union just means like, good job, they're in a relationship. They try to call it like, different people call it like, you know, a perfect relationship that's like permanent and all this stuff, and like better than everybody else and all of that. Okay, all of that, which a lot of the twin flame gurus, well, they call it that, which is great. Like, they're in a permanent relationship that's better than everybody else. Like, that's great for them. Like, so be it, whatever. Like, you know, like, I'm not saying that's bad. Like, that's great. But like, which kind of is like considered the goal of like a twin flame connection. They're like, oh, what you're supposed to do is, all of them say that too, like all the different types. They're all like, you have to be in a relationship and then you have some kind of like purpose, where a lot of them just make like a spiritual business, or they make YouTube videos talking about it, and it's like some method of making money, which is ironic and weird, right? So like, all the different versions of it, it's weird because it kind of just turned into like making money at some point. But also, we're on this planet where like survival is a thing, and like, well, do they want to work a normal job, or if they became an expert on like how they made it work, like, do they want to just make money off it? Okay, so the part where the question is funny, saying, is the purpose of a twin flame union actually avoidance of union? Well, I would never say like the purpose of a twin flame union is avoidance of union. But the ironic thing is, what I witnessed with so many different like pairs of twin flames when they were in a relationship is that I personally felt like there were certain topics that they were still avoiding. They were just able to make the relationship work. And their version of it was what they considered perfect, but there were still topics that they felt awkward about or things they wanted to avoid. Which I guess like in any relationship, they might, just because they can make it work doesn't mean everything is what they feel like talking about, because maybe it makes them feel weird. But like when the audience can tell, it does feel awkward because the audience is like, are we the only ones noticing that like they're not talking about some of this stuff? Like there's still an elephant in the room. With a lot of them, there is still an elephant in the room and the audience can tell. But like maybe there's a reason they didn't want to talk about everything, or they were like, well, we can make like 90% of it work, but like we're just not going to talk about the other 10% because it's going to be fine. So like I don't think the purpose of a relationship is to avoid the relationship you're in, but sometimes people get caught in a situation where they just don't want to talk about something because they feel like they're like self-sabotaging if they talk about something, even though now it's like the elephant in the room, which still can exist with a twin flame because it's just you and another person at the end of the day. So even though it is real, it's still you with another person, and if somebody's not saying something that the other person's supposed to know, it's still gonna be weird, and then the audience can tell. So hi guys. Hi. Why did I do that? I literally acted like I was starting this video. That's how much, I don't know why I did that. That's just no explanation. That's weird. That's weird. Ew, you can probably see I didn't shave my legs. If you zoom in, you can probably see that. But like, whatever. It's actually not that bad in my opinion. But like, some people will be like, that's weird. I don't know why people have expectations of women, but it's also like, if you did that for fun, then it wouldn't be weird. But it's like a completely different topic that people have more expectations on, like, I guess what women look like and stuff. But again, it's like you just have free will, and sometimes your free will is to do something and sometimes it's to not fucking do something. So that's just another part of your free will, like, you know. You might just live both ways and then figure out which one you like, and that's just how it is. So the next question that took me so long to get to. Okay, the next question. Can you accidentally replace your twin flame with someone more stable, and is that failure or evolution? It's not failure or evolution. I hope that helps. It's not failure or evolution. So twin flames just have free will, and part of that is the free will to be with somebody else. And while that's probably going to make you sad, again, like, they might not have technically as much passion with that person, and they might be able to tell the difference, but does that mean that they're not happy? Like, it does not mean they're not happy, because just because something is different doesn't mean they can't, like, still have other things they care about. You know, they can still have other things they care about. Or they can just still have, like, other things they relate to the person about or relate on. For example, you have multiple people you've been friends with in your lifetime. Most people do. You know what makes each one different, and you know what makes each one special in different ways. One might be a really passionate friendship that's not, like, sexual, but, like, you know, it might be, like, a really passionate friendship. I had to clarify, but, like, one might be, like, a really passionate friendship, and the other one might be, like, less passionate but still a really good friend to you and a really stable friend to you and somebody you could still go to about anything. So if you stopped being friends with the one you felt like a really passionate connection with, you still have the other one, and that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong just because you're closer to that one now. It's just maybe not the answer a lot of people want. I think it technically would be like you, like, didn't plan your journey that well, like, you failed this part of your journey, but, like, you still have the rest of your life to live. You still get to have every other life experience. It doesn't mean you're like a bad person just because you didn't get one part right. Or like you shouldn't have to like criminalize it. It's like that could be a goal, but like if you don't do that part, it doesn't mean you're not going to be in a happy relationship. There's also problems that happen sometimes where like if one person's twin flame, because they have free will, if someone's out there like committing crimes and stuff, even if that was your twin flame, that does not ever mean you should like wait for them if they're actually like, if they're committing crimes, doing stuff you would never do. It does mean you have your own issues you have to work out, but it does not mean you should still be with them. Because if they're willing to do something really bad to someone else, they maybe would have been willing to do it to you or themselves. And so there's versions where like you're not a bad person because you still wanted to be with somebody, and maybe your real twin flame like cheated on you and then pushed somebody off a building. There's no reason you're ever expected to be with your real twin flame if they're doing something that you actually are not okay with. That happens all the time to people because the planet is also really bad. So yeah, if they do something that you would never be okay with, they still had free will. Yeah, you were probably super depressed and like had a lot of emotions during that time and stuff, or you were like going through like a lot of anxiety, whatever, but it doesn't make it your fault that that happened. If that helps, like it's not like your fault that that happened. You could still be happy with somebody else, even if you notice, oh, it's maybe not as passionate. Like, okay, so what? You still have like an amazing other person you can find, because you still have soulmates you met in other lifetimes who could still be there for you, and you can still be in a romantic relationship with them. Like, again, like if your twin flame is doing something like illegal or something you're not okay with to like a really high degree, obviously, like you should not force yourself to be with them if they're a bad person and if they're only going to let you down and traumatize you, which is part of why Earth is like sort of feels sad and pointless a lot to a lot of people, because even if they want to do it with the right person has free will and could do something like illegal or something, or cheat on them or do something terrible, because even that doesn't mean it wasn't technically their twin flame. It just means it's okay for you to be with somebody else. So I don't think people accidentally replace them. I think people intentionally replace them because your soul's still gonna recognize, oh, that was the real twin flame, but like, again, like they cheated on me and then they pushed somebody off a building. Like I would never be with them. I would never be okay with either of those choices, right? So is like the mindset. So then you're like, well, then I'm gonna be with this other person who's also amazing. Like, it doesn't mean there's not other amazing people out there. Like, there's people who are on your level, above your level, 1% below your level, you know what I mean? You can still be with that person if you want. Like, it would be more normal for you to leave your twin flame and be with somebody else than it would be for you to be with your twin flame, because most people cannot make that work anyways. You would be like an outlier if you could make it work, and then you would probably be forced to become like a spiritual teacher somehow, like and a lot of people don't want that, so it's just how it is. So it's not weird if you never decide to make it work, or if you're never 100% sure which one it is. You're also not weird for that, because almost nobody is 100% sure. And then even if it happens, you're probably going to be, again, forced to be a spiritual teacher even though you didn't want to be, or something like that. So yeah. Okay, the next question might just be something I have no idea about, because to be honest, if you understand like really what it's asking, maybe you're like smarter than me, because I'm like, is the question missing something or am I missing something? Because I'll tell you, the next question says, if twin flames share an energetic thread, who controls it when both people want different things? I don't understand the question, but I guess my interpretation of an answer would be like, I don't know if they mean like you're kind of like that your own choices are like chosen for you. I guess like at the end of the day, my answer is maybe that, if I'm interpreting it right, my answer is that both people have like free will. So even if you're in a relationship with your twin flame, like they don't actually choose your choices and you don't actually choose theirs. It's not like you're like a puppet, like, you know, and it's like them who like made the moves. that you made? Does that help? Like, you're not like, neither of you is like a puppet where the other one like chose the choices for you. And so no matter how far into like a relationship with your twin flame, they could definitely like try to cheat on you or something, or it doesn't have to be that. It could be something nice. Like they could try to like give you like a nice gift or something, or like just spend time with you, but it doesn't mean that you secretly chose for that to happen. Because they're not actually a puppet where you just made the moves and they weren't real. They were still a real person. They still had free will. They just had free will. They just had free will. They just had free will. Okay? They just had free will. Like, for example, I guess I would say like, who's controlling the cord, like doesn't, or the energetic thread, to me doesn't make sense. Say you're in a relationship with your twin flame. You're like, I seriously do not want us to have a dog. If the next day they brought home a dog, it doesn't mean you did that. It means they didn't agree, but they went behind your back and did it. If that helps. It doesn't mean like, oh, the life path just shifted. No, it means you have to decide, are you getting rid of the dog or are you keeping the dog? Like, it doesn't mean like, or are you okay with the fact that they did that? Like, there's still problems everywhere. It doesn't mean like, it doesn't mean that they on your behalf decided you're both okay with the dog. It means that like, now you guys just are in an argument because why did they bring home a dog when you said, I don't want a dog, like the day before? It doesn't mean like, it doesn't mean somebody like controlled the energetic cord. It just means they brought home a dog, is like, in my opinion, right? Maybe like, as far as, oh, are you both gonna be in a relationship or are you not? Just like with normal humans, in my opinion, with normal humans, you kind of just both agree. You're like, okay, like, are we gonna be in a relationship? They're like, are we gonna be in a relationship? You know, but like, just because you're both saying that doesn't mean it happens. Because either of you could still back out of that decision. You could both be like, I don't know. Am I sure? Do we need to do that? Like, is it worth it? Should you just be with somebody else who you're gonna think is more stable? Like, that could happen all the time. That can happen all the time. That can happen all the time. So you kind of, there's like, my eyelashes, okay. You can kind of feel, I don't know, if you're looking for like an energetic thread, just because something like connects you doesn't mean your choices are made for you. Or I think if your choices are not made by you, they're just made by like a deity who you already told like what plan you wanted your life to have, and then if you don't know about something, maybe they can just like give you the next puzzle piece. I think that was an okay answer anyway. Okay. So the next question. I don't know if I like this question. This one's weird to me, okay? This one's weird to me. Are twin flames drawn together by similarities or by the exact things they lack? The exact things they lack. Are they drawn together by similarity or by the exact things they lack? So I don't think they're drawn together by similarity or by things they lack. They're really just brought together by like mysticism and the energy flowing through the chakras. If they're told this is the specific thing you're supposed to be looking out for in order to find them, then they just go towards the exact thing they're told they're supposed to be looking for to find them. If that helps, like a deity is gonna be like, hey, by the time you guys meet, they're gonna look like this, and they're actually gonna have this type of energy and this type of life experience, and they're gonna be weird about this, they're gonna be lying about this, they're gonna be honest about this, they're gonna be talking to this person, they're gonna be friends with that person, they're gonna secretly hate that person, and they're gonna feel this exact way about you and act this way towards you. So because you already know who that is, you're willing to talk to them and be close to them and be like as close to them as you can be, and then you're kind of like, oh wait, they're my twin flame, like that makes sense. You kind of you kind of don't know, and you just do it. But you're not consciously sitting there like, we are so similar. You might be like, I only see the differences. Are you so similar that you just do it? I mean, you might recognize like similarity. You know? I kind of feel like I'm like activating my psyche doing this. Like, I don't know why. Whatever. Boring. Anyways. So you're not like drawn to somebody because you or them is lacking something, right? I don't think that. I don't think you're like, well, it might fit the mold of what you were told that you should have. Like if a deity said like, hey, you're actually gonna find this situation and like you're supposed to be okay with it even though it's gonna be weird, whatever. Like that sounds weird, but like for some people there's different exceptions to it. But like again, which is why it puts people in a trying to accept like relationships they actually are not supposed to be in because they get confused. They're like, well, what do you mean? This is supposed to be like awakening the collective because it was so weird and like nobody understands except us. And then they think, oh, so it means something really bad, but we're supposed to be fine with it. And then a lot of people are just willing to do it because we're on a weird planet. So yeah, that happens too. Again, I think it's just mysticism, and that's exactly the person you were told to look out for, so you found them and you were like, oh, well, I have this imaginary piece of paper saying your exact description, and I'm supposed to meet you at this exact age, and I happen to be that age, and you're supposed to be this age, and you're that age, and you're the only person who fits that description at the correct age, date, and exact minute that we're supposed to meet. It sounds stupid, but like, oh, it's supposed to be this exact minute, and it's supposed to be your exact description. I guess I'm gonna have to like accept that it might be you, like, because like if a few minutes pass, then like maybe it's not you. You know, it's kind of like your exact meeting can be scripted in the sense that like you both have free will, but oh, we cross paths at this exact minute, and here's your physical description on that exact day. Okay, like I'm not saying you have to be seeing what I'm seeing, but on mine, like you kind of just like were exactly what was on there, like. But you can't prove it. It's like an imaginary like piece of paper, like an imaginary script that you're just given. So like it doesn't really help. You can't be like, look at this, like, wow, we have the same one. Like you can't exactly do that. You cannot exactly like do that, but like that's kind of how it is. All right. Next question, another weird one, okay? What happens when both twins are equally avoidant? Does the connection collapse or loop endlessly? Does the connection collapse or loop endlessly? That's like the most pointless part of the question. Okay, so what happens when both twin flames are equally avoidant? So that's like saying, oh, here's this person you could be in a relationship with, but neither of you want it. And then you just walk different directions. Okay? Then you just met the other person who you're here on the planet with, essentially, and you have other soulmates and other friends and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like from past lives and people you met everywhere. So, okay. So you met each other and you both said, okay, I don't want this, and you just walked different directions. Like, first of all, a deity is probably not going to have you guys meet when you're both going to equally not want it. Unless you both want it. Like, you either would both want it or one of you would want it and the other one doesn't. You know. Yeah. It's just giving, it's like walking into relationship therapy with somebody who you've never started a relationship with, telling the counselor or the therapist, neither of us want it. What happens next? Well, the relationship therapist or counselor says, you're free to leave. Like, you're free to, neither of you want it, like, even a little bit, you're free to go. Like, you're not in handcuffs. Like, you're free to go. The door is open. Like, the door is unlocked. If that helps, the door is unlocked. Oh, you both have other friends, other soulmates. You both have other places you can go. Neither of you wants this. Like, the door is unlocked. Like, I don't know why you brought yourself all the way over here. Why'd you bring yourself to the weirdest part? It would be like here, like, oh, you brought yourself to, like, the weirdest part of the internet? Like, maybe not the weirdest part of the internet, but, like, you brought yourself to, like, a spiritual part of the internet where nothing is supposed to make sense and there's no happy ending to it, necessarily. Like, you know, you brought yourself to a situation where people can not know if they're supposed to be meant to be with somebody. I think, how would you even find out that it might be your twin flame if neither of you wants it? What kind of weird torture video game are you playing if you both have to force it to work even though neither of you wants it? Like, at all? Like, how did you even figure out that this might be your twin flame if neither of you wanted it? I think those are the ones that, like, they maybe cross paths in passing, but they never, like, have a relationship because failed mission, right? Like, there was nothing, like, valuable about either of them to each other. Maybe they didn't like themselves or each other that much, and that happens. Like, it just wasn't planned well, or they weren't supposed to find each other accidentally crossing paths or something. But you're not going to sit there and be like, that's probably my twin flame, the most pointless one ever, just for them to feel the same way. That's probably my twin flame, the most pointless one ever that I don't even like. Huh? 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 What? What? I think maybe they were in some weird power dynamic by accident if they ended up thinking that was their twin flame and neither of them wanted it. Like, it was going to be feeding off some dark energy, or they just passed each other and never thought twice about it. So, I don't think it loops endlessly, because what does that even mean? Running and chasing forever? Why would they be running and chasing if neither of them wants it? At the end of the day, to be avoidant, they probably just don't want it. Or, like, the part of you that's, like, presenting in the situation can't be equally avoidant, or you're never going to find out that any of you had any, like, feeling for it, for the person. And then, can the connection collapse? Collapse? It's not a building. It's not a house you were trying to build. Maybe you could try to see a relationship as, like, a weird metaphor for a house. Or vice versa, but, like, what does that even mean? It doesn't, like, mean something. It would be a weird enough, pointless enough situation if you liked each other to somehow force to have happen. You're never going to be on the same page as each other if you don't like each other. You know? Okay. Next question. Can creativity, in parentheses, music, art, writing, act as a substitute meeting place between twin flames? Can creativity act as a substitute meeting place between twin flames? Substitute replacing what? Like, can you meet at a place where you're creating or involving music, art, or writing, as opposed to where you were going to meet anyways? So in order to meet them, you just have to both be at a place. But I'm a very creative person, and the person I believe is my twin flame, we still met at a restaurant, so you would think, oh, creative people could meet somewhere creative. Not necessarily. You have to be able to meet at an environment that you go to at that time of your life. So if you are not currently at some kind of like music studio, then you're not going to meet at a music studio. And if you're not currently going to like an art studio every day, you're not going to meet at an art studio. If you're not going to some kind of like creative writing class, you're not going to meet at a creative writing class. You get what I mean? But like, if those are the only places you went to every single day of your life, then you're going to have to meet them there, because otherwise you were not going to meet them anywhere. Or maybe you were going to like meet them getting a coffee on the way there or something. You know what I mean? Like, and then maybe they were going to be like, oh, hey, can I go with you? Whatever, like fucking stupid stuff, right? Okay, actually that would be like a more fun version than what most people get. So like, maybe I would just be jealous if you had a good version, because most people get the traumatizing version, or the did I accidentally traumatize that person or does it not matter version. Most people get like the stupid version. One person does not care about the other person or something, right? Or like, most people just get the bad version. Most people get the themselves feeling cheated on version, or not knowing why they were supposed to care version, or something weird, okay? Most people get that. If you have like some cool romantic meeting, the whole planet's gonna be jealous of you if it's your real twin flame and you actually have like a cool way of meeting them. Most people cannot even imagine like a good version of what that would be like. Most people are like, I don't even know what that would be like. And just to actually know that it's the real one and stuff, like, you would just be winning. So there's no reason that it can't be like the substitute meeting place as opposed to like something boring and awful. Just most people get the boring or awful version. You might be so powerful that you don't even need to be on Earth that much. Like, why would you incarnate if you're just gonna have this magical storyline the whole time, right? Like, most people get the bad version and they have to try to imagine, okay, what would a better version of this be like? Isn't that so embarrassing to try to remember or picture what a good version of meeting the person you're meant to be with would be like? Like, Earth is kind of hell. Because imagine you find the person you're meant to be with, but you meet in the worst way possible. You just know. It doesn't have to be the person who's missing something, but the way that you met definitely will be. But yeah, if you only go to, say you were at a music studio physically every single day of your life and you don't even leave to get food, you just like DoorDash. If they're not somehow you're like a DoorDash driver, which like good luck, then they're just gonna be somebody passing through the music studio or somebody also making art there. Just the odds that you're never gonna have to leave are pretty low. But if you physically did that, you would still have to meet them somehow. So they would just have to become a musician. Hopefully they're becoming a musician because they're passionate about it, not just because it's the only place to find you. Okay. Next question. If your twin reflects your wounds, are you responsible for healing theirs too? You know what? A wound of theirs represents one of yours. And if you start to work through yours, then they start to upgrade too, and like just kind of get past it. Even if they don't really know, they're just gonna feel like they healed from it, which is pretty good. You're not supposed to be like, well, why is only one of us doing the work? You're not really supposed to care about that because they're not gonna know. So you're just supposed to be fine with it because you got to get over yours, they got to go get over theirs. Like, people can get mad all the time over stupid stuff, but like, you're kind of supposed to let it go because who cares where the upgrade came from if it showed up for one of you, right? Because it could be going both ways. Like, you both could feel frustrated with that. As far as responsible for healing someone else's wounds, I think you're in some pretty intense magic if it even works, if you're trying to heal somebody else's wounds. Otherwise, people just try to like pretend to fix people and it doesn't work. So you're never like responsible for forcing somebody else's wounds to be fixed, is how I would feel, because like, it's probably not going to work, and like a deity is not going to give you a responsibility that has a low chance of working a lot of the time. Or they're, even if they do, they could give you responsibilities, but it doesn't mean they expect it to work. They're going to be like, well, I gave you all that so it would be a failed mission, so you would have to go somewhere else. Like, kind of backhanded, right? But like, it's not that they don't have love for you, It's that, like, they might be, like, tough love, like, you're gonna have to be traumatized first and then you're gonna have a great life, like, weird stuff, okay? It's just, Earth is depressing. It can be. So, yeah, so if your twin flame reflects your wounds, that does not mean you're responsible for healing theirs. You might accidentally try to, because when people hear about other people's problems or trauma, like, they start to think they know the answer for somebody else, but sometimes what you think is the answer is just like what you think the mainstream normal answer is, but that might not be like what their journey is. They might be like supposed to heal, but like by turning into like a really weird person, like, yeah, like it would make you weird too, but like not in the same way maybe. So you might think, oh, I know the answer, I can Google the answer to that, but it doesn't do anything because they were supposed to be on some weird journey trying to figure it out. So even if you tell them, they're just not going to accept it as the answer. So it doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter. I had to like charge my phone really quick. So next question. Does distance strengthen twin flame bonds or expose that they were never stable to begin with? I think, again, the question is kind of like not really like applicable for everybody. I think people can have structures in their minds that make them think relationships are less stable than they expected or more stable than they expected, but distance can make you miss them or something cute, right? But it can also make you feel like you just grew apart, like any relationship. So like if you guys don't live in the same place for some reason anymore, you might just feel like either like you miss them or like not like unstable. I think you would just feel like you miss them, or you would feel like you don't, or the chaser would be like, oh, I miss you. The runner would be like, no, I don't miss you. Like, I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't know why you would care about that. Like, you know, the runner would just be like, because we're meant to be together, I just can't prove it, but it's true. And then the chaser's like, well, I don't care about that. Just because you feel that way doesn't mean I feel that way. Like, that's literally it. Like, copy and paste for every person on the planet who ever thought they had a twin flame. And most of them were just talking to the wrong person, which is why you have to know the difference. Even if you were talking to the right person, they probably think they have a twin flame who's the actual wrong person. Which is why you have to have, I think it trains you to have a little bit of detachment with like the future and like whatever happens. Like, it's kind of not, you're just like, well, it's not my business. I guess if there was supposed to be some kind of future that I don't know about, if it's just not what happened, like, it is what it is. Yeah. I just think if you're not in a relationship with them and you're in like the runner and chaser stage, physical distance kind of just makes both of them more extreme in their like dynamic of it, because the runner was going to be downloading Tinder anyway, so imagine how much amplified that would be if they're in a different state, you know? That's how it is. Like, they were going to be downloading all the dating apps anyway. Like, they're like, okay, I met you yesterday, but like that doesn't matter. And then the chaser was just going to be like probably crying about it or something, or missing them or trying to text them, amplified by like the insecurity of why are you in a different state or country or city or whatever it is, right? Why are you so far away? Like, it's like that. And then the runner is like, well, obviously I could meet anybody I want because I'm somewhere way different from you. Like, there's probably way cooler people where I am. Like, you don't even matter, you know? And the runner's like, well, no, like, I feel like you're just, or the chaser's like, well, I feel like you're just leaving for no reason. Like, you're not even taking this seriously. The runner's like, why would I take something seriously if nothing's there? Like, it's so cliche. It's so, like, copy and paste every person on the planet. Like, it's like, tag who that was, you know? Like, everybody knows who that was, so it doesn't matter. That's the whole thing, that's it. But most of them are saying that back and forth to people who are actually the wrong person. They're just mistaken. So I guess you could say the runner is actually like correct most of the time, as far as like, but if they were both spiritually awakened to any degree, they would only do it with the right person, which is why most people are not. Most people don't feel like they can even prove it to themselves, which is sad, which is why people just have to try to be like spiritual and try to like learn stuff if they want to make sure they only do it with the right person. But also you can forgive yourself if you do that with the whole thing with the wrong person, because it doesn't really matter. That's how unimportant Earth is. Like, they'll let you do it with the wrong person. They'll let you do the entire twin flame thing with the wrong person just to find out after. And then be like, well, how can I even face myself if I just did the dumbest thing ever with the wrong person? It was gonna be fucking stupid if I did it with the right person. Like, now it's with the wrong person too. Like, exactly. And the whole planet saw it and thought it was stupid and all of that. It's just how it is. Hi. Next question. Do twin flames challenge your beliefs more than they support them? And is that the real function? So first of all, I don't really know the real function, and I don't really know why it matters, or what that's supposed to mean or whatever. So that doesn't seem that important, like what's the real function? But like maybe that was supposed to matter to somebody. Let's see, I'll try to answer. Do twin flames challenge your beliefs more than they support them? Duh. Yeah. No matter who you are, a real twin flame, or a false twin flame, or whatever, whoever you're talking to, that if it's a twin flame in any way, or not, you only have one actual twin flame, but like, I'm starting to get like burnt out from the video. I'll probably like stop in a minute, but like I'm still having fun. But like, yeah. So, of course, twin flames like challenge your beliefs. They just tell you all kinds of stuff. Like, if you have a real twin flame, they probably think their twin flame is someone else who's not their twin flame. If you're the runner, or not runner, if you're the chaser, whatever it is, dude, I don't really care. You know what I mean? They probably think, oh, it's this person, but it's not. And then the other one's like, oh, well, maybe it's this person, it's not. Like, they just go back and forth with, like, stupid stuff. So, maybe they'll gaslight you about it a little bit. Depending on who you are, they might do it a lot. They might just try to bring you around energy that feels like a gaslighting energy. Or there's never not other people in the situation. You're like, okay, so even if we were together, they would just be like cheating, or they would just be like rude or something, you know, like it is possible to like just have issues with them. Does that mean you can never not have issues? There's so many successful people who are with their twin flame, and there's so many people who were just able to like make it work and they are with the right person. That actually does happen a lot. Again, they usually are kind of like public figures if they were able to make it work. There's no like really celebrities that were able to make it work. There's like influencers that were able to make it work with their twin flame who are now spiritual teachers. You're not going to see like A-list celebrities be with their twin flame because they're going to have a twin flame who's like on drugs or something. Like, they're not going to have a normal, like, I mean, hopefully it doesn't stay like that. Hopefully there's other people who are able to be like famous, who are able to be with their twin flame and have it be like successful, and it's not going to be like one's on drugs and the other one is like with the Diddy or something. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully it's not like that all the time, but like there were situations like that where like, oh, if there's an A-list celebrity and they have a twin flame, like that's what's happening. So yeah. But there were like a lot of influencers that were able to do it and make it normal, which is kind of why celebrities and influencers are just not the same thing, really. Just not really the same thing. There's not really normal people who make it work ever. Which sounds odd, right? But like, everybody who's able to be with their twin flame pretty much wants to become some kind of influencer, or they're able to become some kind of influencer, or at least one of them is an influencer if the other one's not yet or something. So if they even know who their twin flame is and they're correct about it, one of them is probably an influencer. That seems to be the most normal path of them being able to like do it and get it right. Regular people, even if they think they know who their twin flame is, maybe they do, but the runner or chaser phase like never ends, that sort of thing. So, and then they just marry somebody else because they don't have to believe in it. So that's like the regular like normal person like version is they either think the wrong person's their twin flame or they just marry somebody else anyways. The influencer version is you eventually make it work, and the celebrity version is one of them's on drugs and one of them's with Diddy. So yeah, or Epstein or something, you know, like that. So that sort of thing. So yeah, that's how it seems to be going. Good luck. But I don't know if that really answers the question. I think it does. Do they gaslight you or do they challenge your beliefs? I think all of those types of situations challenge your beliefs. Even if you get it right, maybe they did something that made you question yourself even when you were right at some point. Even if you end up with them, they probably made you question yourself first. So you could fit in with the normal people having the normal experiences. Yep, planned before you were born for some stupid fucking reason that only causes trauma. Exactly. Okay. So I just wrote down like 2 questions so we can go through these a little faster. But like, yeah, it's okay. I'm still gonna do a good answer for them. The first one is, could the concept of twin flames encourage people to stay in unhealthy relationships? The answer is yes, and that for like almost every person who's ever found out about twin flames, that was like the only thing that happened. They either ended up with their twin flame in a relationship, or the only thing it ever did was hurt them because they didn't even have like the good part of it, and they just went through like the trauma of it. Or it was the wrong person to begin with and they just went through drama for no reason so much that they discovered the concept. Either way, that's kind of like not considered successful, but it's just how it is. For almost everybody. Odds are you either didn't meet the real twin flame, you probably didn't, okay? 99% likely, even if you have one, that you just didn't meet the right one or the true one. Because anybody can have a real one. Not anybody can meet the real one or recognize the real one or not accidentally try to be with the wrong one first, which is just gonna tear you both apart and make you really embarrassed for no reason without you getting anything out of it, okay? Or it was the right one, but you both traumatized each other so much that it didn't work out. That's if you get past the first 99%, okay, then 99% of that category is just going to be like you caused them so much trauma or they caused you so much trauma that like you don't know why it doesn't work, but it never works in this life. Not in this life is just most people's answer, because it would be too eerie. Everybody has a cell phone. They can like record the whole entire situation and try to prove it, and everybody would be in a different type of world if people could prove they were all with the right person. Like nobody would have a bad experience ever, and it wouldn't make sense. Even if it's the right person, they just have to do something awful to you. Sorry, not sorry, like it's how it is. So everybody else is doing it, they're just gonna do it. They're gonna see on Google how to cheat on you and they're just gonna do it. Or something like that. Or their friend's gonna tell them to do it and they're gonna do it. Something stupid, okay? So, or, again, if it does work out, you're probably gonna have to become some kind of spiritual teacher because everybody else is gonna be like, how did you do that? Next question. Is there any real evidence for twin flames, or is it purely spiritual belief? Not only is it purely spiritual belief, but even if you're a Christian or a part of a mainstream religion, it's still not going to work for you, because while it's purely spiritual belief, it is like entirely witchcraft. If you believe you do not have any past lives or any future lifetimes, you are never going to be able to prove to yourself that it's a twin flame. You're never going to be able to find any real evidence if that's actually what you believe. You have to break out of it to even believe it. Or you're just going to have like, you looked at like 11:11 on the clock and that means something, but so what? You could think of anything and look at 11:11 on the clock. It's one of the million times a day that we have, or whatever, not million, but you know, it's one of the times that you can look at the clock and see it. That actually happens to people. You could look at the clock and it says like 333. It doesn't mean whoever you thought of in your head when you saw 333, it has to be your twin flame. Because then you would have like 90 of those, because throughout your life you're going to be thinking about a lot of people probably, and you're going to look at the clock and it's going to say 333. And if you can't take that as like a yes or no answer for like is the sky blue outside, whatever, you know, I don't know. Is it gonna rain in 5 minutes? If you look at the clock and it says 11:11 and then it doesn't start raining, but you tried to take that as a yes, then yeah, you don't know shit. Like, so you just don't know anything. It's okay. There's probably not real evidence of it. Again, hopefully there's not, only as far as like science, because it would be used for really bad stuff, like really like first before anything else, because the whole planet is not only traumatized, there's so many people who want the excuse to like traumatize people. So the first thing they would try to do, you even see it, like, trigger warning because it's a completely shift of topics, but like the dude David, like D4VD, and that girl Celeste, who was like 13 years old or something when he killed her, they like, he was already, when he didn't tell people she was a minor, he was already trying to tell people that it was like some kind of like string theory thing, which just would be like he's trying to say it's the same thing, like meant to be together, like, which obviously is not how it works. Like, it's not going to be a child, if that helps. A deity is not going to set you up to be meant to be with a child. Like, that's not okay. So yeah, it's just, like I said, if there were like scientific evidence, it would make the world a way worse place, because they would be trying to find proof to set adults up with like children, animals, whatever. Like, they would be trying to make like the string theory like a thing, like, but in like we could use it for anything we want, you know what I mean? So they would just be, or they would try to make like polygamy or whatever it's called a thing, where it's like a man, like he has to be like married to like multiple women or something, right? Like, they would be like, well, what if they have like a string theory thing with all of them? Like, they would try to use it for all forms of abuse, to force them to be with somebody specific who is going to have like power over them for a lot of reasons. So, or literal like axe murderers and stuff, you know, like they would try to justify it and be like, well, they're not really wrong if that's what their soul tie is like supposed to be. Like, they would try to say that, which is why it's better and a little bit easier for everybody that there's not actual evidence of it, because we don't know where the evidence would be if there were evidence, right? Or like what kinds of evidence people be like allowed to see in the timeline. It would probably be really bad first for a long time before people could even accept the concept. So yeah, the rest of us are doing the version that looks like we pretend it's real to anybody who doesn't believe they have multiple past lives, which is almost nobody. But yeah, the court case with David, who killed that girl, I do believe he's fully guilty. I think anybody with a brain believes he's fully guilty of that crime and should be held accountable. He's gonna either get the death sentence or a life in prison. Hopefully, whichever one's worse is what he gets. So I don't know which one's worse, because they both sound pretty bad, but like, you know, if he gets the death sentence, people can technically just reincarnate, so it's like, we don't know where he's going, good or bad, so you know what I mean? So maybe a life sentence would be worse, because then he'd be forced to face some kind of punishment that people would know about for sure. But yeah, people have different opinions, I don't know. But yeah, I believe he's fully guilty of that, because there's so much evidence and it's crazy. But yeah. The court case, I think, is going to be really telling, though, because that man had, I guess, like, recordings of the girl's voice when she was trying to tell him about, like, the string theory, which is, like, the other name for, like, twin flames, but, like, without the spiritual part, I guess, or whatever you mean, like, or whatever I mean, like, whatever it means, I don't know. Like, they try to use, like, the string theory as, like, the science version when they don't want to be spiritual, if that helps. They don't want to say something spiritual, so they say the string theory. but it's not like evidence. It's just like, oh, what if this is a thing? But then they try to use it again for like the really bad stuff and nothing normal. So, but that court case is going to be all about the string theory being the reason why he did his crimes. So, that man had that girl in the front trunk of his car. He froze her body. Okay. Thought she would stay frozen for months. Had an incinerator in his house. I was literally shaking the pencil. I'm like, no, like, man had an incinerator in his house, is what they're saying. And put her in the freezer. He had like a giant walk-in freezer or something weird. Like, what kind of restaurant did he live in? I don't know. But what kind of restaurant crematorium thing did he live in? Okay, so man had her in the freezer, frozen solid. Had a whatever it's called, incinerator in his house so he could like cremate her. Even though they were saying like that's illegal and stuff. I don't know what's illegal in California or not, but again, man did not use that. Man put her in the trunk of his car so he could go on tour for many months. Decided in his tiny brain that she would stay frozen for many months. Which is so many levels of not only evil but stupid. So, yeah. Just whatever. But that's what they would be trying to use the string theory for, which I think we're going to see a lot of very soon. Alright, those are pretty much all the questions that I have time for. I also looked at the whole list, and I feel like there's not a question on the list that I didn't already find my way of answering in the video. Because I kind of over-talked some of them, so I just gave you guys all the information anyway. But I love you guys. Goodbye. Goodbye.